We continue now at the top of Daf Ayin Zayin Amid Beis in Meseches Menachos. This is Menachos Daf 77b. The Mishnah says, Mikulam, from all of them, that's all the different types of bread that are brought together with the carbon toda. Again, there are a total of 40 loaves that are brought with the carbon toda, and those 40 loaves are divided into 10 each. There's 10 of chametz, 10 of matzah, 10 of rakikin, which are wafers, and 10 of revucha. And so from each of those, from each set of 10, one loaf is taken. Mikulam hayanotel echad me'asara truma, from all of them, 1 out of 10 is taken as truma to be given to the Kohen. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, v'hikriv mimenu echad mikol karbon truma laHashem. It says 1 from each carbon, a truma laHashem. And we darshan the pasuk as follows: echad, when it says echad shelo yitol parus, that means that the person should not take a broken loaf. It has to be a whole loaf that is given to the Kohen as truma. And then it says mikol karbon, it says from each bread. Again, it's talking about each type. Sheyu kol hakarbonos shavos, that means that each should be equal, meaning to say there should be 10 of each. And shelo yitol mikarbon al chavero, and furthermore, it means that he shouldn't take truma from one bread on another bread. Each one needs a truma for itself. So again, you have 10 of each type, and each type, one needs to be taken as truma. That's what it means. It shouldn't be mikarbon al chavero. And finally, the pasuk says, La Kohen hazorek es dam hashlamim lo yeh, to the Kohen who throws the blood of the shlamim, that's who it goes to. The truma, that bread goes to the Kohen. It's eaten by the Kohen. V'hashar nechol labailim, and the rest is eaten, meaning the rest of the loaves, the other 9 of each group, are eaten by the bailim. They're eaten by the owners. And the Gemara says, Tanu Rabbanan, the sages taught in a brisa. V'hikriv mimenu, it says v'hikriv mimenu, it says he's going to offer from it. What does that teach us? It means min ha'mechubra, it means from that which is attached. And the idea over here is that it is attached in the sense that all of the loaves are placed in one vessel. That way they are as if they are a single unit, and the truma is taken from them. And echad, again, it says 1, shelo yitol parus, that means it shouldn't be a broken loaf. And mikol karbon, it says mikol karbon, sheyu kol hakarbonos shavos, that again, all of the karbonos need to be equal. It's 10 each, 10 of every kind of loaf. And shelo yitol min hakarbon al chavero, and one should not take from one on the other. You're going to take one loaf from every set of 10. Truma laHashem, it says truma laHashem. Now, eini yodeya mikamahi. Now, I don't know exactly how much it should be. What is the amount? When it says truma laHashem, here we're saying 1 out of 10, but how do I know what that amount actually is? Hareini done, so I can learn as follows. Namar kan truma, it says over here the word truma. V'namar b'trumas meiser, and it says by trumas meiser. Now, what is trumas meiser? Trumas meiser is first given to the Levi. That's 1/10 of the produce, and then the Levi gives 1/10 of that to the Kohen as trumas meiser. So we know that trumas meiser is 1/10. So it says over here the word truma, and it says by trumas meiser truma. It says the word truma over there as well. So malahalon echad me'asara, just like over there it's 1/10. Afkan echad me'asara. So too over here it is 1/10. Okalach l'derech zur. Maybe we can go in this direction, maybe a different direction. Namar kan truma. It says over here truma. V'namar bebikurim, and it says by bikurim. Bikurim is the first fruits. That's the first fruits that ripen, that are brought to the Beis HaMikdash. It says truma. It says over there truma as well. Malahalon ein lo shir, just like over there is no measurement, like we say elu devarim she'ein lohem shir, and one of them is the bikurim. So just like over there is no shir, afkan ein lo shir, so too over here when it comes to the truma by the lachmei toda, there is no shir, there is no measurement. And so we have to decide whether we're going to learn from trumas meiser or are we going to learn from bikurim. So nira limidoma, we have to see what is it more similar to. Don in truma she'ein acharei truma, we should learn a truma where there is no truma following it. Truma she'ein acharei truma, from another truma where there's no truma following. There's nothing that follows trumas meiser. V'al yochiach bikurim, we shouldn't bring any proof from bikurim. That's the first fruits. Sheyesh acharei and truma, because there those bikurim are just the first ripened fruits. But then there's going to have to be trumas and meisers taken afterwards from the produce as the produce ripens. And so that would be a reason to learn from Trumas Meiser and not from Bikurim. Okalach l'derech zu, or we can go in the following direction. Don in Truma hanecheles b'makam kadosh, we should learn a Truma that is eaten in a holy place. Mi Truma hanecheles b'makam kadosh, from another Truma that is eaten in a holy place. And that means to say, with regards to both the lachmei toda and with regards to the Bikurim, it has to be eaten in Yerushalayim. And so therefore we can learn one from the other. V'al tochiach Trumas Meiser, and we should not bring a proof from Trumas Meiser shenecheles, chalas b'chol makom, because that's eaten anywhere, and so therefore you shouldn't bring a proof from Trumas Meiser. So now we don't know, should we bring from Trumas Meiser, should we bring from Bikurim? And so the Brisa says, Talmud Lomar, the pasuk says, Mimenu Truma LaHashem. It uses the phrase Mimenu Truma LaHashem, Uchsib b'Trumas Meiser, Mimenu Truma, and it says a similar phrase by Trumas Meiser, Mimenu Truma LaHashem, L'Gzeira Shava, and therefore we have a Gzeira Shava really between the Truma that applies by the Lachmei Toda and between Trumas Meiser. Lamadnu L'Truma She'echad Me'asar, and the Brisa says, we see from here that Truma is going to be 1/10. Aval Eini Odeya Mikama Hichala, but I still don't know Mikama Hichala, from how much is this challah, meaning how much flour is used for each loaf. So Hareini done, so I can learn as follows. Nemar kan lechem, it says over here lechem. V'nemar lahalan b'shtei halechem, and it says by the shtei halechem, that's the 2 loaves of Shavuos, it says the same word, it says lechem. And therefore we can learn as follows. Ma lahalan isaron lachala, just like over there, it's 1 isaron per challah. Now that's talking about the shtei halechem is 1 isaron per challah. We're trying to learn from there, the shtei halechem is chametz. We're trying to learn from there to the chametz loaves of the lachmei toda. Again, there are 10 chametz loaves. So just like over there, it's 1 isaron per challah, afkan isaron lachala. So too over here, it's 1 isaron lachala. What that would mean is that a total of 10 isaron of flour would be used for the 10 loaves of chametz, and that's 1 isaron per every loaf. Or we can go in the following direction. Nemar kan lechem. Again, it says over here by the lachmei toda lechem. Again, that's talking specifically about the chametz loaves of the lachmei toda. V'nemar b'lechem haponim lechem, and it says by the lechem haponim, which is the weekly loaves, it says lechem in the Beis Hamikdash. So malahalan shnei esronos, just like over there, it's 2 isaron. Afkan shnei esronos. So too over here, it would be 2 esronos. And the idea is that it's 2 esronos for each loaf by the lechem haponim, and so too by the chametz loaves of the lachmei toda, it would be 2 esronos for each loaf. So near lemidom, again, we have to see which one is it more similar to. Don in mincha haba chametzim hazevach, we should learn a mincha where you have chametz together with an animal carbon. Mi mincha haba chametzim hazevach, from a different mincha where it's chametz together with an animal carbon, meaning to say, by the lachmei toda you have these loaves and they're chametz loaves and they come together with an animal offering, and therefore we should learn that from the shtei halechem, which also are loaves together with animal offerings on Shavuos. V'al yochiach lechem haponim, we shouldn't bring a proof from the lechem haponim she'eno b'chametzim hazevach. The lechem haponim is just weekly bread. It's not chametz together with an animal offering. The lechem haponim is not chametz at all, and it's also not together with an animal offering. But the Brisa says, "O kalech l'derech zuor," we can go in this direction, a different direction. Don in mincha haba me'eretz v'chutz la'aretz, we should learn a mincha that comes from Eretz Yisrael and chutz la'aretz. The grain doesn't specifically need to come from Eretz Yisrael by the lachmei toda. Min hachadash u'min hayashan, also it could come from the new grain or the old grain. It doesn't specifically need to come from the new grain, and we should learn that mincha haba me'eretz v'chutz la'aretz min hachadash u'min hayashan. We should learn that also from, again, a mincha that comes from Eretz Yisrael or from chutz la'aretz, from the new grain or from the old grain. And so that would be a reason to learn from the lechem haponim. V'al yochichu shtei halechem, and we shouldn't bring a proof from the shtei halechem of Shavuos. She'ein bos ela min hachadash, they only come from the new grain. Umin haaretz, it only comes from grain of Eretz Yisrael. And so what do we learn from? Talmud Lomar, the pasuk says, Mimosh voseichem taviu lechem tenufa shtayim. It says Mimosh voseichem taviu lechem tenufa shtayim, and the word taviu over here is actually an extra word. It already says that we're going to offer it. It doesn't need to say you're going to bring it. She'ein Talmud Lomar taviu, it doesn't need to say taviu. Uma Talmud Lomar taviu, why does it say taviu? It means to say as follows: Shekol masha ata meivi mimakom acher, anything you bring mimakom acher from a different place, hareu kazeh, it is like this. And it means whatever you bring of chametz, that refers to the chametz loaves of the lachmei toda, it should be like this. It should be like the shtei halechem, which also are chametz. And so we say malahalon isaron lachala, just like over there, it's 1 isaron per loaf. Afkan isaron lachala. So too over here, with regards to the chametz loaves of the lachmei toda, it is 1 isaron per loaf. But ima lahalon shnei esronos. Now, one might argue over there, it's 2 esronos. Afkan shnei esronos. So too over here, it should be 2 esronos. And what that means is that over there by the Shtei HaLechem, it's a total of 2 esronos, because it's just 2 loaves, 1 isar in each, but maybe we look at the total, and therefore all 10 of the chametz loaves by the carbon toda should be a total of Shnei esronos. It shouldn't be that it is 1 isar on each. And the Gemara says to that, Talmud Lomar, the pasuk says tihiyena, it says the word tihiyena, and the Gemara will analyze why we learn from tihiyena again that it should be 1 isar on each. And so the Brisa continues, lamanu, but in any case, what do we learn from here? Asara chametz. We see that there are 10 isaron for chametz, 1 isaron for every loaf. Now, asara lematzah minayin, how do we know that it's a total of 10 isronos for all of the matzah? By the matzah, there are now 30 loaves, and we're going to say that it's 10 isronos total for all of that, for all 30 loaves. Talmud Lomer, the pasuk says, al chalos lechem chametz, it says, an chalos lechem chametz, and what that means is neged chametz have matzah. It means corresponding to the chametz, that's how much matzah should be brought, and so therefore it should be the same amount of esronos. Nimtzu esrim esronos lachmei toda, comes out that it's a total of 20 esronos for the lachmei toda. Asar lechametz, that's 10 esronos for the chametz, again 1 isaron for each loaf. V'asar lematzah, and then a total of 10 isaron for all of the matzah, for the 30 loaves of matzah. And the Brisa continues, Yachol asar shebematzah lo yehu chulon elam menachot. Now one might think that the 10 by matzah, that should all be of the same kind. It should be 30 loaves of matzah, all identical. How do we know that there's 3 different types of matzah? Talmud Lomer, the pasuk says, Im al toda yakrivenu v'hikrav al zevach hatoda chalos matzos belulos bashemen u'rakike matzos meshuchim bashemen soles morbeches. So it mentions all 3. It mentions the chalos matzos, it mentions the rakikin, which are the wafers. It mentions morveches, that's the ones that have extra oil, they're scalded in water. So nimsu shlosha esronim ushlish. Now it comes out, if you do the math, it's going to be 3 esronim and a third, l'chol min v'min, that's going to be for every single type. V'shalosh chalos lisaron, it's going to end up that every 3 loaves is going to be a total of an isaron. V'nimsu lachmei toda arboim, and it's going to come out that the total amount of loaves by the lachmei toda is 40. And so the Brisa says, Notel mehen arba, you take 4 out of the 40, that's 1 from every 10. V'nosin la kohen, and that's given to the kohen. Those 4 are given to the kohen. V'ashar necholim lebailim, and the rest, they are eaten by the bailim, by the owners. And the Gemara now continues and analyzes this Brisa. Amar Mar, the master said, V'hikriv mimenu min ha'mechuber, it says that you have to bring from that which is attached. So elameata, but according to that, t'chsiv, it's written in the pasuk, V'es kol chelbo yorim mimenu, it says all of its fat, yorim mimenu, you're going to take from it. That's talking about that which is burned on the Mizbeach. It's talking specifically about the carbon chatos. It says, all of its fat shall be separated from it and burned on the Mizbeach, yorim mimenu. And so, hasam mai mechuber iko, over there, what is the mechuber? What over there is the attached over there? The assumption over here in the Gemara's question is that the animal was already cut up before you take that chalif to burn on the Mizbeach. And the Gemara says, well, that's exactly the answer. Kid Rav Chisda Amar Avime. The answer is like Rav Chisda says that Avime says. The Amar Rav Chisda Amar Avime, because Rav Chisda says that Avime says, Shelo yinateach basar kodem sheyitol emur, and one should not cut up the meat before one takes the emur and the sacrificial portions from the Mizbeach. And so therefore, really, it is being taken min ha-mechuber. And the Gemara continues and analyzes the Brisa. Amar Mar, the master said, Nemar kan truma, it says over here truma, by the lachmei toda it says truma. V'nemar b'trumas meiser truma, and it also says by trumas meiser truma. We learn from there that it's going to be 1/10, just like it's 1/10 by trumas meiser, so too it's 1/10 by the lachmei toda. And the Gemara asks, V'neilaf mi trumas midyan, why not learn from trumas midyan? The trumas midyan is talking about the amount that was taken from the spoils of Midyan to Elazar, who was the Kohen Gadol. The amount was 1/500th, so why don't we learn from there? And the Gemara says to that, Don in truma hanoheges ladoros, mi truma hanoheges ladoros. We learn a truma that applies for all generations. That's like the lachmei toda truma, from a truma that applies for all generations, which would be trumas meiser. V'al tochiach trumas midyan. We shouldn't bring a proof from the truma of Midyan by the spoils of Midyan, she'ena noheges ladoros, because that did not apply for all generations. That was just a one-time occurrence. And the Gemara continues, V'neilef mi trumas chala. Why not learn from trumas chala? By chala, there is a truma, there is an amount taken, and the amount there is generally 1/24th, so we should say it's 1/24th. And the Gemara continues and answers, Tana de Rav Yishmael, it was taught in the yeshiva of Rav Yishmael, Don in davar shenemar bo mimenu trumas Hashem, mi davar shenemar bo truma laHashem. We learn something where it says mimenu trumas Hashem by the lachmei toda. We learn that from somewhere else where it says truma laHashem. That refers to trumas meiser. Lafuke trumas chala de lo nemar bo mimenu truma laHashem. That comes to exclude trumas meiser, where it doesn't say mimenu truma Truma LaHashem. We'll take a look at the gears of the Mesoras Hashas. It's Truma LaHashem, somewhere where it says Truma LaHashem, Midavar Shenemar Bo Mimenu Trumas Hashem. That should be the proper girsa, says the Mesoras Hashas. But in any case, that's the reason why we learn from Trumas Meiser and not from Trumas Chala. And the Gemara continues, Boy, Rava asked the following question. Trumas lachmei toda, with regards to Trumas lachmei toda, again, that's the loaves, that's the 4 loaves that are separated by the lachmei toda and given to the Kohen to eat. So the question is that treated like regular Truma? Chayavin alein misa v'chomesh, is there a liability to misa b'dei shamayim if a non-Kohen eats it, or let's say it's unintentionally eaten, so then one pays 1/5? Oein chayavin alein misa v'chomesh, or is there no liability of misa v'chomesh when it comes to the Trumas lachmei toda? On the one hand, Kevan de Iskish Trumas Meiser, since it's compared to Trumas Meiser, Trumas Meiser, Dami, it should be like Trumas Meiser, and there should be liability. O Dilmor maybe Bo Vachamishi, so it says it, and it says it's 1/5, and therefore that essentially is a miyet, that essentially is an exclusion. It's saying it only applies by Truma, it does not apply by the Truma of Lachmei Toda. Again, that's miyet Rachmana, the Torah has an exclusion. And similarly, we can ask, Midamas, o Eina Midamas, is there halacha of Midamas, or is there no halacha midamas? By Truma, let's say Truma falls into Chulin, so the halacha is it's not batal, it's only batal if it's 1 in 100, and so the same basic question can be asked over here, does it cause the entire mixture to become forbidden? And the Gemara says to this teiku, the Gemara says we have to leave this as a question. And the Gemara continues, Amar Mar, the master said, we said in the Braisa above, Talmud Lomar Tiyena, it says in the Pasuk Tiyena, that was in reference to the fact that one might have argued, just like by the Shtei HaLechem, it's a total of 2 Isaron, it's 1 Isaron per loaf of bread, but there are only 2 loaves of bread, so too by the Chametz Toda loaves, one might say it's a total of 2 Isarons of flour. Maybe it's not going to be 1 Isaron per loaf, but a total of 2 Isarons for all 10 loaves, and so the Braisa said, it says in the Pasuk Tiyena, and that teaches us that again it's 10 Isaron for the 10 loaves, 1 Isaron per loaf. And so the Gemara asks, my Talmud, what exactly is the derivation? How does the word Tiyena teach us this? And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ayin Ches Amud Aleph.